QuickBooks Pro Plus Desktop 2022 OneNote Presentation, Banking Reports. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Pro Plus Desktop 2022. Access to OneNote would like to follow along. Icon left-hand side, topic introduction, 4180 banking reports. Also take a look at the immersive reader tool, topic introductions in the text area as well. Same name, same number, but with transcripts. Transcripts that can be translated into multiple languages, either listened to or read in them. Same name and numbers, presentations as well. Topic introductions designed to give an introduction to the topic, provide screenshots, links where applicable, give accounting background to complement the presentations, and can be used to follow along with them if you don't have access to the software at that time. Closing the icon on the left-hand side, banking reports. You can get to the report center by going to the reports drop-down, first icon or the first item, report center. We're in the standard tab, banking section. The most useful report in the banking section is going to be the bank reconciliation. It's a little bit different than any other report that we've looked at, however, because it's not going to be generated and created as we enter data into the system, but rather it's going to be like an internal control type of report that we will be comparing the activity in the bank to the activity in our books and reconciling the two. In doing so, we not only reconcile the bank account, but we also get a big internal control on all the rest of the accounts as well. However, again, it's a little bit limited because of the functionality of it as an internal control in terms of generating the reports. So we'll talk more about that in more detail when we get to the bank reconciliation, but it is a really important process and, of course, an important report that you probably want to be printing out every time you actually create a bank reconciliation. Then we got the deposit detail report in here. The deposit detail looks something like this. So now we're looking at the checking account activity. The deposit detail is going to typically be the increases, of course, to the checking account. So they got the deposits and the payment activity down below, the payment. Scrolling down, we got the transaction by account, noting that if I go to the balance sheet, for example, and double click on the checking account, you can get some of this information by just sorting, or you can get a similar report. In other words, by saying this is all the activity by type, and you can sort by type then, the checking account having more types of activity in it than any other type of account. And you could sort by the deposits, for example, and that's another way that you can generate a report looking at the increases in the checking account. So you can go to the filters here. I can look at just the deposits if I so choose. And so if I scroll down, now I've got the transfers and deposits as the only accounts that are showing in the general ledger that we just got to by just double clicking on the banking account or checking account in the balance sheet. Then we have the check detail. Here's the check detail. So now we got the checks that are going to be in play. Note that there's different kind of checks because remember we have checks or decreases to the checking account. We have the bill payment checks. We might have liability payment checks, which have special purposes that can give us a little bit more detail about what they're doing. Bill payments paying down a bill, for example. Then we got the transaction by account. So once again, if we take the transaction by account, which we could just get to by double clicking on the checking account on the balance sheet, we could sort by decreases if we so choose, given us similar types of detail. If I sort by type and put a filter in place, and now I want to look at the checks and the other decreases, I can run a report in this format as well. I've got the bill payment checks, the paychecks, the check, the sales tax payment, these all being kinds of checks in essence, but some of which have specific purposes to them.